like to call to order this March 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Clearwater Downtown Development Board. And I'd like to welcome all in attendance and ask that everyone who has not already done it, please silence your cell phones and cease private conversations. We'll begin by having our board members and ex officio members introduce themselves, beginning on my left.
Ray Casano.
Shahab Emrani.
Festus Probeni.
Paris Morphopoulos.
Keenan Kinsel.
Caitlin Jamo.
Terry Nowitzki.
Frank Hibbert.
Mark Bunker.
Very good. So we'll proceed to item number 2, and we're going to take up the minutes of the February 3rd, 2021 meeting. And at this point, I'd like to request any corrections that anyone would like to make. There do not appear to be any. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the minutes of the February 3rd, 2021 meeting. Terry Nowitzki. Do we have a second? Ray Casano. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Appears unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3. Citizens to be heard regarding items that are not on the agenda. For anyone wishing to address the board, please restrict your comments to matters that are relevant to the downtown and to the DDB. And any items that are going to be coming up on our agenda, please hold those until that agenda item. Speakers must identify themselves, and we will enforce a 3-minute time limit. Is there anyone that would like to make a citizen comment? Okay, appears not. Let's go on to item 4.1. We have Ann Lopez. Would you please take up the January 21 financial statement?
Good evening, Ann Lopez, CRA Program Specialist. Before you are the financials for January 2021. It lists out your expenditures, which totaled $18,819. Your ending balance being $567,724. I know that number may seem a little different, but if you remember in January, you approved an amendment to your budget, so this ending balance includes that $280,000 of unallocated, unfunded money moved into your budget.
Very good.
Yep. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the board? Are there any citizen comments on our budget? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the January 21 financial statement. Do we have a motion? Shahab, do we have a second?
Second.
Caitlin. Very good. Is there any discussion on this point? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. It is unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to item 4.2, and this is the auditor presentation, and I'd like to invite Monica and our auditor up to the podium. Thank you, Ann.
Hello.
Welcome.
My name is David Alvarez. I'm an audit partner with Carr, Riggs & Ingram. We're the newly hired audit firm that's performing the audit of the Downtown Development Board as well as the city. So we were able to do our procedures in combination with each other, with the accounting kind of policies and controls so intertwined between the Development Board and the city made it quite smooth to do it at the same time. So before you and on the screen, actually I want to thank Monica and her team for working with us throughout the audit. Any auditor transition is a challenging year, especially as we gain our understanding of how the entity works, the control environment, the people and processes in place. So it adds a little bit of difficulty to the team. They were great to work with, highly knowledgeable of the organization, how it works, and kind of the nuance, especially with the Downtown Development Board. So before you, I have a real short presentation on our financial statements. So in a set of financial statements, there's a couple of auditors' reports and letters. The one up front is the main auditor's report, the independent auditor's report. Within that report, we gave an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that auditors provide. Auditors don't say, what I always say in these meetings is auditors don't say things are correct, we say things are not materially incorrect. So an unmodified opinion means things are not materially incorrect, the highest level of assurance that auditors provide. When you get to the back of the report, there's three more reports. The first one of those is the Government Auditing Standards report. And this is a report in accordance with government auditing standards. The report talks about internal controls around financial reporting. If we had any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or other matters of noncompliance, we would report that within the Government Auditing Standards report, and we did not have any findings during this current year. The next one after that is called the Management Letter. These last two reports are required by the Florida Auditor General, so you'd only see these in Florida governmental financial statements. The Management Letter, the Auditor General asks for specific paragraphs on, that we have checks really kind of specific things. We had no findings within that report. We didn't have any findings within no prior year findings, are the main things that would show up there. The last one is a local government investment policies report, another one required by the Auditor General. This one basically is an attestation where we're issuing an attestation report that says the government is following either their investment policy, and if they don't have their own investment policy, they're following the prescribed investment policy within Florida statutes. The Downtown Development Board has adopted the city's investment policy. So then we ensure that the government has, or the entity has followed that investment policy, and we have no findings there. You guys are in accordance with the policy as it's laid out. And again, there were no audit adjustments, so we didn't identify any issues in the financial numbers that required changes to the financial statements, or we don't have any we didn't have any identified differences that we deemed to be immaterial, but still large enough to communicate to those charged with governance. So we had no other past adjustments. And then this last list, kind of a laundry list of items that are required communications to those charged with governance in accordance with audit standards. So I'll just go through these real quickly. The significant accounting policies. There were no material changes to the significant accounting policies used by the Downtown Development Board during the last fiscal year. And again, this is the fiscal year ended 9/30/2020. Those significant accounting policies can be found in footnote 1 to the financial statements. We did not have any significant difficulties encountered during the audit. There wasn't things that caused us huge difficulty that we would have concern about. We did not have any disagreements with management. Again, there were no corrected or uncorrected misstatements. There were no issues that were discussed prior to management keeping us on as auditors during this year. We were not aware of them consulting with other accountants. The communication we make to say, kind of the joke way to say is, did they get some bad news and they asked mom when dad told them something else? Did they go opinion shopping for something? We're not aware of them consulting with other accountants. And again, no internal control deficiencies. So ran through quite a few things in a short period of time, so that's all that I have unless the board has any questions for me.
This is our initial year with doing our audit. What is our term?
It's a 5-year term.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome to it, and thanks
you.
for the report. I read through the report. It was quite professionally done, in my unprofessional opinion. Yeah. Anyone else have a comment or questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very good. Appreciate it. Okay, do we have item 4.3? We have a presentation on opportunity zones. And this is
Good evening, how are you?
welcome.
So I was asked to come and present on opportunity zones today, being that downtown Clearwater happens to be one of the largest opportunity zones in the area here.
Excuse me, could I ask you first to identify yourself?
Yep,
For the benefit?
Edmund Rikipi.
Okay, Edmund Rikipi. Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, my apologies. So For those of you who are unaware of what opportunity zones are, they are economically distressed census tracts that were elected by our governors, and any investments made into either operating businesses or real estate will receive certain tax benefits. Three different benefits that investors can receive are a deferral on their capital gains out into 2026. That date is subject to change as there is some proposed legislation looking to push that out for 2 years. The next benefit is a step up in basis. So if you're not an accountant, don't worry, I'll explain it to you. So as long as an investor holds their interest in their qualified opportunity fund for a minimum of 5 years, they will receive a 10% step up in basis, or essentially you get to wipe 10% off of your tax bill, right? The last benefit, which is the largest benefit, is an exclusion of gain. So any profit that is made on the investment with those capital gains will never be taxed if held for 10 years. And that's one of the biggest benefits. So far, opportunity zones have proved to be pretty impactful nationwide. We've seen about $75 billion be invested in a 3-year period. And that 3 years is a little bit deceiving. We didn't get the opportunity zones until the passing of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. It then took almost 2 full years to get final regulations out. Then COVID hit, and we all know what that did to businesses, but even in light of that, $75 billion has been deployed nationwide into opportunity zones. So that is, high level what the program is about. There's a lot of intricacies, a lot of reporting, but I do think the tool is extremely impactful for, cities and rural areas. And being that downtown Clearwater is in an opportunity zone, I think that's something that, should be explored and, really advertised to the community to, help bolster development and small businesses.
Great.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that downtown Clearwater is in an opportunity zone. What are the benefits to downtown Clearwater in that sense? How can it benefit and help downtown Clearwater thrive?
Yeah, so the benefits would come from investors either opening new businesses in downtown Clearwater or developing in the area, right? And the nice thing about opportunity zones is that you're not limited to only the opportunity zone benefits. So let's say there's an affordable housing issue, and you want to utilize low-income housing tax credits. You can couple those alongside the opportunity zone benefits as well. So you don't have to choose one or the other. So a lot of different routes, but from a operating business standpoint, think of incubators, right? Venture funds could deploy capital to a number of startups, whether it be tech or whatever that company may be. So it can drive investment into downtown Clearwater.
I have a question. Do you know the boundaries of the opportunity zones for downtown?
Yes, so you can actually find them on Esri, but actually if you go onto our website, opzone-capital.com, we have a map there. Just type in any address and you'll see the boundaries. It's a pretty large tract.
What was that website?
OPPZONE-capital.com. So opzone capital.
The word spelled out capital.
Yes, ma'am.
So you happen to be headquartered here or living here, but you are working in op zones across the country?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So we've gone as far as Mesa, Arizona, a couple projects in Los Angeles as well. Do a lot of advisory work for the operating business side, and then we work on the fundraising and development side on the real estate portion.
Do any of these projects, are any of these located or potentially in Clearwater?
Potentially. Could be, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? I had a question, just if we could have an example of, just to lay out, you indicated the three ways you could benefit. But let's get a real example. Like if somebody wanted to move in and establish a new business in an empty storefront and rehabilitate the building, invest several $100,000.
Yep.
Can you sort of guide us through that in a real example of what the benefits would be?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say an investor had a capital gain of $1 million. We'll just make our math easy.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanism of the program would be that investor would take the $1 million and put it in an entity that is going to qualified opportunity fund. The word fund is a little bit deceiving because when you hear fund, you think it's got to be a mutual fund or a big private equity fund. It's nothing more than an entity. So that investor would place that capital in that entity, and then from there, they would then place the capital into the business or the qualified opportunity zone business. Now, there are different regulations and tests that you have to meet, but as long as you're, I'm going to generalize here, as long as you're within an opportunity zone, you're pretty safe. So let's say someone decided to open, let's just say a new pizzeria, right? And this wasn't going to be fancy if we're spending $1 million, but go in, they'd invest all of that capital, and at year 5, they would get the first benefit, right? So we've now eliminated $100,000 from their original tax bill, okay? Year 5, well, because of this year 5 would also be the end of the deferral period, or 2026. So that original investor who had the capital gain didn't pay any tax on that out until 2026, and now they've had the opportunity to also eliminate 10%, okay? Come 2026, their 90% of the original tax bill is now due, right? So you only have that deferral, okay? The pizzeria is doing great. The investor holds for the 10-year period, and it's now worth $2 million, their pizzeria, and they sell. That $1 million that the investor made will never be taxed.
Has a certain appeal to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I understand it much more clearly now.
Great.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
But you can't
Comments?
do it as an individual, it has to be out of a business or a fund, like you said, correct?
Can you define individual? Are you saying like a
Like Joe Blow wants to buy in an opportunity zone.
Joe Blow could definitely buy in an opportunity zone. He would just have to structure the proper entities, right? So, can't utilize S corps, but and you also have to do, if you're going to do a partnership, you have to have multi-member partnerships, multi-member LLC. No disregarded entities qualify. That's a great question.
Great. Anyone else? Great.
So let's say you started a project.
Yes.
Now the law's all clear on opportunity zones.
Yes.
Now you're in the same project, but you want to add some money to that project. Is that possible?
When did you acquire the property that you started this project?
Years ago?
So as long as it was done after December 31, 2017, you have the right to bring in opportunity zone capital to recapitalize that project. You will have a split investment though. So
Part of it won't be and part of it
part
will
will be, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I have a final question for you. What could the DDB or the city, or what could we do to encourage investors to participate in something in downtown Clearwater to take advantage of opportunity zones?
I think if you look to Erie, Pennsylvania or Alabama, they've both put together one, really good prospectuses for both of their cities, or obviously Alabama State, but all the municipalities there. And what they've done is they've gone around to local business owners and developers and said, all right, we have these parcels available, or we have retail space available here. And then they've essentially created projects and said, this project works here, the city will back you. So I think for the DDB, really it's just bringing an awareness, whether that were a simple website with some upcoming projects that would be available or opportunities for business to open up. The more involvement you see from the municipal level, the more successful that city is going to be. And Erie, Pennsylvania is a great example. If you take some time to look at what they're doing, I think in the first year, they received over $50 million in Opportunity Zone capital. And Erie was one of the most, poverty-stricken census tracts we had in our nation.
It's very interesting. I just want to drill a little bit deeper into this. If we've got you here, we might as well
Yeah,
take
absolutely.
advantage of you. So if we wanted to pursue what you said and promote it to developers, we would identify tracts of land that an opportunity zone investor could develop something in, or or are you saying we need to actually identify what they would put there and take it to the point of saying, we need a movie theater here and come and invest the
Gotcha.
money?
I've seen both. There are some cities that say, okay, this is all controlled by our CRA. Here's all the land that we have. Here's what we think would work. We'd like to see workforce housing here, or we need office space there. I don't think anyone needs office space during COVID, but you know what I mean? I've seen that, and I've also seen, here you go. We've already planned a 200 unit workforce housing development for you. We need that. I've seen it across the board.
Interesting. Okay, that answers my questions. Does anyone else, sir?
I just want you to know, we've made it very clear to everybody in the development community on the RFPs for the properties on the bluff that we are in an opportunity zone, and that's one of the other potential benefits of them investing in downtown Clearwater, and that's gone out to how many development groups, Mr. Delk?
Probably at least 50 to 60 or more, and it's widely advertised, and we associate that incentive availability for virtually everything that we market that is located in an opportunity zone. So, and we're not terribly prescriptive about it, so which means that people can really present their best ideas.
But the opportunity zone does not perfectly follow the CRA, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
The boundaries are a little slightly different.
Is it bigger or smaller or just different?
It goes a little further south.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the
Excellent.
big difference.
Okay. Well, very good. I found out. Go ahead, Ray.
See if if I'm correct on this. The money used to enhance those properties in the opportunity zone must be capital gains from another, it can't just be fresh money.
Correct. It has to be capital gains, and it can be short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains. It could actually be gross 1231 gains as well, and you do not have to net your 1231 gains against your losses. So, let's say you're a company and you've got a lot of depreciable property and you end up with a lot of 1231 gain, you can actually defer all of that and still take your 1231 losses on top of it.
You could just split the gains up. Wow, nice.
Not sure I followed that, but
For the 5 years, you put those gains off for the 5 years?
Say that one more time.
You said you can put those gains off, but you can put them off for the 5 years?
So to get the full benefit, you'd have to defer for the entire 10 years. I think what Ray was asking is that it has to be capital gains utilized. Yep.
Okay, good.
okay. Well, I found that useful.
Great.
Very interesting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good. Okay, now we're on to item 4.4, Mr. Infinity Marketing Assistance Funding Request. Howard, could you take the lead on this, please?
Good evening, Board. Howard Smith, Business Assistant Administrator for the Community Redevelopment Agency. For the funding request asked for Mr. Infinity for business assistance, the CRA will not bring a formal request to the Board. After discussion with the DDB attorney and as your staff for the CRA, we need to go through and vet more of the information to make sure we're able to provide a detailed funding request asked to you all with being able to make a solid recommendation. So with that, I do have Mr. Derek Williams here. He wants to present to the Board and also deliver his acts. But again, we cannot make a recommendation to approve, deny, or fund part of his business assistance request.
Very good.
Let's see, let me pull up his presentation. Ann? I'd like to bring up Mr. Derek Williams, owner of Mr. Infinity Studios in Clearwater.
How you guys doing?
Welcome.
This one is so formal in here. I just want to first and foremost thank everybody for hearing me out, taking your time on this Wednesday evening. So thank you for that. I know some faces in here, but those that don't know me, my name is Derek Williams, and I am, they call me Mr. Infinity. I have a brand that I've been developing for quite some time now. Can everybody hear me okay here when I step away? A brand I've been developing for quite some time now. Went from a company from zero to a $10 million company. Now I'm kind of starting off on my own. And luckily I'm downtown Clearwater, right on the corner of Osceola and Cleveland Street. So, and the name of this place is called Disrupting Fitness Studios. So if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you will. And it will motivate you to improve your health life, get in shape, become the best version of yourself. You know, that's kind of like where the mindset is going with this. So, without further ado, I just kind of get into a little more of my story, a little bit more about me. Mr. Infinity came, I'm in my 40s and I was still playing with NBA players, still dunking the basketball. So one of my friends just said, man, I'm gonna start calling you Mr. Infinity, you know. And so I didn't want to go with that name because I was kind of shy, but I stuck with it, and now I'm Mr. Infinity. I have over 500,000 people from all my different social media platforms kind of following me. You know, I have products, digital products, and a studio now. You know, and the studios is what I'm here to talk about. Really want to put a lot of tension on that and really get traffic built up in downtown Clearwater. I feel like it's a lot of opportunity. I feel like it's a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth potential just for having that studio. I'm so thankful and blessed to have that studio in downtown Clearwater. Just like, I don't know, I must got some type of angels around me. I didn't know where I was going to do. I was looking at St. Pete, and I felt like Clearwater was just the best place, and I kept looking around and just kind of landed on, I feel like it's like a gold mine, you know, and I feel like I can just do a lot with this facility. It's perfect for the type of training I do. All the athletes I had to come, they love the facility. They feel the energy's good. So yeah, so just that's a little bit about me. I'm going somewhere with all this too. I'm just not like rambling, all right? All right, and so raise your hand if you old enough to know like health is your greatest wealth. Like, is anybody like health is your greatest wealth? And I'm old enough, you know, I'm 43, so I'm like, man, like without health, it's like, what do you really have out here? You know, and I feel like that's what any city should be the root of any growing city, you know, of man, we really want all our citizens, we want everybody to be having that in their consciousness of health, longevity, fitness, mindset is number one. Like if you don't have that, like I don't care how big your house is, I don't care what you're doing out here, if you don't have that in the forefront of your thinking, that's backwards. I feel like you're climbing up the wrong fence. And so that's really what I want to implant in downtown Clearwater. I implant that in all my athletes, and I train the highest echelon of athletes. NFL, NBA, Olympic athletes will be trafficking downtown Clearwater and bringing entourages with them. I'll be doing NBA combines, NFL combines. So you'll be getting a lot of foot traffic from just to high-level athletes in this area. So just want to give a little backdrop of who I am, my mindset, my thinking, and why I'm asking, you know, why I want my place to be looking like an established representation of downtown Clearwater. You know, I took everything I had to even get in the space I'm in now, you know, so I really want that to be, this place to be a symbol of what downtown Clearwater represents. And I feel like health, longevity, consciousness, mindset, it should be the number one of any growing city, any healthy growing city. That should be the forefront, you know. So that's kind of where my mindset and my thinking. So, and I know environment shapes us, you know. Your environment's going to shape you. So I feel like in downtown Clearwater, as we move around, I feel like having a place like Disrupting Fitness Studio is going to implant in the minds of man, like, all right, I walk past this place, I need to start working out a little bit. I need, maybe I should go for a walk. Maybe I should get some sunlight. Maybe I should do some deep breathing. I want my place to represent that, you know? And like I said, I'm going somewhere with all this. I'm just not rambling. I just want to kind of give you a little backdrop of who I am and what I truly want for our city and really want to represent, you know? So yeah. So that being said, I'll go through this PowerPoint before I stop rambling. All right, so founded in Clearwater, Florida, Disruptive Fitness is helping athletes, individuals live healthier and more fit lives through online and through my studio. One of the reasons why I'm having such a big impact in the national, global stage is the type of movements that I do and the type of movements that my athletes and everybody, not just athletes, everybody's an athlete. Everybody in here is an athlete at heart, you know. So the movements allow us to alleviate knee pain, shoulder pain, hip pain. I've been able to find gold. The technology that I use to train is gold. And it's gonna be 100 years before this is in the mainstream. They're gonna have to rewrite textbooks. They're gonna have to rewrite science books. I'm not just saying that. I got testimony after testimony after testimony, you know, and I can give them documentation for that. So, and I'm having a big impact. I'm having a global impact. My partner that I work with has been on Sports Center. I've been on Shark Tank. I've been in Forbes magazine. We've been in Muscle Fitness. So it's the word is getting out. I don't know how this is.
Don't scroll, push the down button on the,
on the. I'll try. I'll just. Yeah. So this is a little bit. I think you can see a little bit of my studio right here. Even this exercise I'm showing you right here is a different type of exercise that, like I said, it's gonna take 100 years before this is in the mainstream public. So what I want to do is expose my 500,000 people to downtown Clearwater through. I don't know if you guys know about TikTok, Instagram. Twitter, all these social media outlets, I'm getting a lot of attention, you know, and it's going to be so many people that's going to be seeing my facility. And I want it to represent me right. I want it to represent Clearwater right. You know, I really want it to be a landmark for what Clearwater represents and what I represent, and really have a global push, you know. I've been in here in the same spot talking about an idea I had about Infinity Clearwater. You know, some of you guys might have been here talking about a park, an artistic park where people from all around the world will be able to kind of work out outside, get sunlight. So this is kind of similar mindset. I'm just lucky enough to have a facility now. You know, I really have a place where I can really do this and take my personality, my belief system, and really grow it. You know, so that I really want to give Clearwater a sense of authenticity. Hopefully you can hear it from my voice and my energy, that I'm authentic. I really believe what I'm saying. And culture. I think, I don't know about you, but when I'm walking around downtown Clearwater, and there's so many cars just drive past. Like, I'm right on the corner. That last weekend, it was so many cars going to the beach. I'm like, man, they gotta be waiting hours to go to the beach. So, man, we getting traffic. We are getting traffic. But I feel like the culture is not keeping these people. You know, so I feel like I want to bring a culture and I want to bring authenticity to this area. You know what I'm saying? It's not a knock on Clearwater. I'm just saying I don't feel it yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Clearwater. I love our people. I love our community. I feel like we got a lot of growth. I feel like we're going to get there, but I feel like right now we're just not there. We're just not there. So hopefully you don't take offense to that. Why am I asking? Like I said, I want the visibility. I need signage. I need to be able to push out more further, get traffic, have everything I need for this facility to be a good representation of myself and of you guys. You know, I really want to be an integral part of your community and to grow with you, build with you. And yeah, any questions? And I don't want this to be a one way. What's up?
Well, first of all, I think it's great, and I love your energy. And my question is, how many people do you see as members, or are you going to just do it more virtual, like local members?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I was going to get there, but I'll be doing seminars in my facility. I'll be doing a lot of retreats in my facility. I actually did a poll on my Instagram today to see how many people were interested in coming to downtown Clearwater for a 3-day retreat. And I had like 400 people that were interested. So I'll be doing retreats, I'll be doing seminars, I'll be doing classes, I'll be doing health talks. I'll be inviting
thousands.
I'll be inviting heavy hitters. Like, I'm an influencer, but I got heavier influencers that are willing to come. A guy named Mike Dunn, he's a basketball coach. We're collaborating on an idea for him to be the basketball guy. I'm the skills trainer. We got kids from all around the world that look up to us and are on our digital software to come and meet us in person and really do it right, you know. And I'm intertwined with a lot of dunkers, a lot of athletes, so a lot of NFL guys. And if you guys go to my gym in the afternoon, you'll see a lot of activity going on in there. So I really want to open it up. It's not like I'm trying to pigeonhole myself. I really want to open up to our community and to people all around the world, now that the world is so small, to give Clearwater a voice and a culture. So yeah, great question. I appreciate it. If anybody else has a question, just raise and I'll answer it. Did you have one?
No, I was just going to say we need to wrap it up fairly quickly because it's longer than our normal presentation.
Okay, I didn't realize I had a time limit, but next time I'll know.
But
What's up?
No, it's very good. Just if you can give us your summation, that would be great.
So like I said, man, just to answer your question, I plan on having NFL combines, NBA combines, classes, seminars, retreats, and really want to open it up to the community. And yeah, but I'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions, I will answer, or maybe if you guys need to wrap it up, I can answer at a later time.
If we have questions.
The plans are fantastic. I haven't been in the space. Is it big enough to have 1,000 people come to an event, or?
No, I mean, 1,000 people wouldn't come to this. We'll have probably. It's not big enough for 1,000 people in the space. No.
How big is it? Like 100 people at a time, or I don't know.
It would probably be sectioned off like different.
Okay.
Probably like.
After the COVID and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So, but you could have groups
not
come.
an auditorium, no.
Okay, but you could have groups of 50 to 100. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone else have a question or a comment? Okay, well, welcome to our downtown, and we will give this consideration. What I want to do, I want to thank you for coming and letting us know who you are and what you're up to, and we'll be talking to you next month, I understand.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but okay.
So, I have a question. So we're going to talk about helping fund what he was asking for there, like signage.
Right,
and things like
yeah,
that.
I wanted to ask our attorney to give us the concerns. This was on the agenda for discussion today, but I wanted to have our attorney give us what led up to not going forward with
I
that
didn't
right
realize
now.
it was not, but okay.
Okay, thank you.
I was asked to review the funding applications this month, and I hate to say anything negative about one of the few people I can actually hear when they're up here talking. But all we got on the request, and it's, to be fair, it came in late, and I didn't get it until later, so it wasn't time to do anything about it, was the bare application. We don't have any, other than the slideshow and the verbal today, information about the business plan, about how the funds are going to be used. And so that's the reason staff couldn't make a recommendation today, is because they don't know enough to say yay or nay on a recommendation. In my opinion, you don't have enough information to make a decision. And so to put it off until next month so that staff can get with him and get all the information you need to make a decision is the recommendation.
Is there a reason why they don't have the information?
Pardon?
Is there a reason why they don't have the information, the staff? Did they ask for the information?
They asked for it, but they didn't ask for it until after they talked to me. It's just the one page. And we need to give better guidance in our application about what we're looking for. You all have a limited fund and a big area to cover with that limited fund, and you're required to use it prudently. And in order to use it prudently, you need to know about, if you're helping a specific business, you need to have a little bit more information about that business.
I just want to,
We're working on, I will work with staff on that.
I just want to clarify something, that this isn't a comment on the application or the quality of the application of the applicant. This is a comment on our process, and it was just happened to be identified with this application that that our due diligence is not quite up to where it should be. And it's not a reflection on the quality of the application or
the business.
or the applicant or the idea. So I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. It is that it just happened that this month's presentations were given to Elise, our attorney, and she reviewed them and noted something that wasn't quite up to the way it should be for the way we conduct our affairs. Mr. Dell, please.
Yes, Chairman, thank you. I think to follow on what Elise is saying here, the attorney, it is a matter of, we want to give it a complete, fair, and full evaluation. I think the dollars, as I talked to Amanda, appear to be targeted for marketing. That's a little bit of a direction change for us, and so we want to make sure that we give it a full and fair evaluation prior to bringing it for you. It may break a little new ground, a little new direction for us. That may be fine, but we want to have a complete understanding of what the intention is for the use of dollars before we make a recommendation to you. So, agreed. It's quite an extraordinary fitness event, and would be a real nice component of downtown Clearwater. But we want to make sure we understand how we're spending the dollars and for what purpose.
Very good.
Because quite frankly, if you get multiple business assistant grant requests in this price range, you're going to be out of funds pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to know.
Very good.
I do see included in here is a breakdown of what the money is going to be used for, as far as wall wraps and other graphic items. What other materials
I'll
do
tell
you
you
need
that
from
what we historically required from businesses, if it says, most grants that the DDB does tend to be for organizations that are doing events or something in downtown. We used to do a lot of business assistant grants. They were things like storefront improvement grants, when the street was closed, backdoor improvement grants, some marketing grants. The idea this year was we need to be able to do something to help people out because of the COVID issues. But what we used to require, at the very least, was some sort of financials to show that the business, if it's existing, will continue to exist. If it's new, then it has enough backing. A business plan to see how it's thought out. And if you're using it for marketing, a marketing plan. But that's what, and it doesn't have to be complex. We're not a bank.
Right.
But it needs to be enough so that we're good stewards of our money.
I just wanted Mr. Williams to know what he still needs to
And he was
provide.
going to be contacted on that because we don't want to leave him in the dark. Staff, I'm not the one who's going to be contacting him, but it's, to let him know. And we need to put it in writing, and that's something that will be coming before the board next month, so that we don't put somebody else in this position.
Okay.
Definitely would be nice for him to be contacted earlier on. I don't think it's nice to have him come here and not know about that, so that's not good at all.
I'm sorry?
I think it's definitely nicer for them to know before they come over here. I don't think he knew about that before coming here.
Well, we did ask, It was not, it was shortly before yesterday, he was contacted and asked if we could put this on next month's agenda so that we could get the information.
Okay.
So he didn't walk in here and get blindsided.
Okay,
We're not that rude.
thank you.
I
Okay,
would
so-
point out that in the agenda, it says that the staff recommends funding it. So it sounds like this was a change from, what he may have been told.
I did not have a chance to review it before the agenda went out.
Just checking on the timeline,
Yeah,
that's all.
that's all. I didn't have a chance to review it before the agenda went out.
Okay.
Okay?
So basically, I think on behalf of the DDB, perhaps we owe an apology to the applicant, and we would welcome him to return next month, and we apologize for the inconvenience and for the deferral for an entire month. If we had had our procedures in better order and we understood what we were doing a little better, we wouldn't have subjected you to this. And we don't want you to feel you're not welcome and that we won't give your application due consideration. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to table this until next month. We're going to go on to item 4.5, if that's good with everybody. And then Howard, would you take up the DCMA Business Assistance Funding Request?
Howard Smith, Business Assistant Administrator for the CRA. For the funding request for the DCMA for live music, I asked that we move that funding request to next month. It will allow us time to be able to vet the marketing updated plan, which was just provided to you all. In January, the board approved the marketing plan for the DCMA with provisions for them providing a detailed program report and also being able to go through and review their invoices. And since I'm just receiving this report document at the same time that the board is, we have not had a chance to review any of the information. So to be a good steward of DDB funds, want to make sure we have time to review this, provide a detailed report back to you on the invoices before we bring another funding request to the board for approval. So with that, I will be bringing up Carolyn Bradham. She is the co-vice president of the DCMA, so she, and along with Sheila Nesler of Catalyst, will provide updates for the DCMA report on marketing.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
I'm back. We promised a report. We got your report. I apologize for the lateness of it. We have experienced an explosion on the business front in downtown Clearwater over the last couple months. And we couldn't be happier, but honestly, we're getting a little in need of some extra help to keep things rolling like we have got them going, right? So I think since I was last year, we were talking about the sip and stroll. And I wanted to let you know, last February's sip and stroll, we had our highest ever. We had 170 participants. We had way more participants than we thought were going to come. We ran out of our cups, our glasses that people use, and we had to resort to some other little plastic cups with our logo on, which they weren't too happy about. So we are now frantically coming up with Plan B in terms of if it keeps growing, how are we going to solve the cup problem, right? So, but just great feedback. A lot of people coming back again, making it kind of a normal every third Saturday night. Everybody comes down with their friends, bringing new friends, bringing neighbors. Just a lot of positive feedback. Again, great feedback on the streets being closed. People are really happy about that. They like the fact that they can come to a safe environment and they can enjoy the different restaurants that are out and participating. So that program for us has been a really good one to just draw people into our community that we haven't had. Another thing that we've been doing is working with other groups and organizations to kind of, pool our own resources as businesses in terms of people that we do business with to get them to come to downtown Clearwater. And I'll give you an example of that. You'll see in there a little section on the Harbor Bluffs magazine. So this is a magazine that goes out to the Harbor Bluffs community, and I'm one of their advertisers, and we invited them to come to our ribbon cutting ceremony. They were very excited about it, they loved it, and they approached me and asked if we could do some things in the summer, like can we bring some people down here, how can we help you, we love what you're doing, right? So they booked 2 different nights out in the district throughout the summer, and then they wanted to do a photo shoot for their February issue, the Singles Mingles thing, right? And they had some of their own community. These were not models, these were their own community that came. And we used Roxy's, and we used right outside my restaurant, outside for the cafe scene, and then right in front of the Capitol with the big car and everybody out there. It was probably the coldest, windiest day we'd had like the whole time. But they all got it done. It was a lot of fun, and they ended up coming back again just a couple weeks ago for another event for all their singles downtown. So that's just a byproduct of what we're creating here with our reaching out into our community and really trying to bring people down here that wouldn't normally come down here, but it's really expanding. And I'm going to let Sheila kind of get into that a little bit, right? Our music has been going very well. We probably have, Scott, how many do you think we have right now in terms of number of artists that we've been using?
The number of artists, probably a couple of dozen, but I mean, we figured out since June, we've done over 200 live performances downtown. You know, I think that's just a huge replacement for it, and I know we'll be coming back asking for more funding, hopefully, for music, but I know, you know, in years past, we were doing $20,000, I mean, DDD was giving $20,000, the Capitol Theater was giving $20,000 for each of the 6 Blast Fridays, so $240,000, if we can afford $1,000 a week, that $52,000 is small in comparison. I think we're getting 10 times the bang for our buck than those 6 shows a year that brought in people that are not people who are coming back to downtown Clearwater. I mean, this is creating people that are coming back on a regular basis because of it. So I think it's less expensive, less costly, and much more successful.
Exactly. A lot of the businesses, because of the music, are definitely doing much better on the evenings that we do have it. There's a little success story in there from Lucky Anchor, for example. They usually do pretty good on Friday nights. Saturday nights kind of slow sometimes, sometimes not. But when we have our sip and stroll, they are packed, and they are getting repeat business, people coming back to them because of the sip and stroll that we have had going on right down there. So all of these things are having an impact on the businesses, but really I think what excites us the most is that we are becoming a community down here, and we are bringing other communities to Clearwater. I think probably one of the things that's become one of my favorites that we're doing is our Dine Out for Charity, Dine Out to Make a Difference. And so far we've been able to fund 3 different charities. The mayor and his wife have been so gracious. They come to every single one. They take a picture with each business owner and really help promote this event. We are promoting, of course, beforehand. In March, we have the Clearwater Dental Association, our clinic coming. This is a pro bono clinic. And I just was telling one of my customers about our dining out to make a difference. They were having dinner on the night of, and I said, and you are now, contributing to this organization. And I said, and by the way, if you know of any local charities that we can include, let me know. They go, well, and they told me about the Clearwater Dental Clinic, which does all pro bono work for people. Maybe they pay $5, but they're going to get a $500 treatment. So they've been doing this for years. So Sheila contacted them. They are so thrilled to be a part of this. In fact, I got a note, I've got to call them back. Pamela called me. She's scheduling 20 people to come down and have dinner the night of. So what we like with these local charities is, some of the bigger ones, they're happy to receive our little donations, and $800 to $1,200 doesn't seem like a lot to a charity. Some of these local charities, They love the idea of being able to be local and to get local support as well. And so they're basically opening up their own Rolodexes and getting their local supporters to come on down here and have dinner at the district. So it's become a real win-win for all of us concerned. So I'd like to actually turn this over to Sheila. She's given you some hard facts in there, some of the information, some of the impact that we feel that we are starting to create. I mean, I understand we feel like we're just kind of getting started. We've really had a lot of challenges with how to market ourselves through COVID, but it is happening. And there are businesses, and Scott can certainly speak to that, they're doing better this last couple months compared to last year pre-COVID. And that's without the Capitol Theater. And that is basically a testimony to the marketing efforts that we've been able to do thanks to your funding. And it's making a huge impact on not just the businesses, but really we feel it's actually making a great impact on our community and really getting a sense of a local downtown community down here. So I'm going to turn this over to Sheila. She's got put together a nice packet of information, and understand we're going to have more information to bring you in the coming months, but this is a start, and here we are, Sheila.
Great.
It's a start. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. That's okay. Anyway, I want to thank you guys. I wanted to prepare this report just to show you that what we're trying to do is be good stewards of our time and your money. And that was the thing that I was really focused on. And when I first came to the DDB, I wanted to talk about economic development. I wanted to talk about jobs. I wanted to talk about business growth. And I think that some of the anecdote that we're seeing, you know, some of these small business owners really don't want to tell me what their sales numbers are. I used to be a banker. It's just a spreadsheet. But when I talk to, there are 5 businesses that are now, 5 restaurants that are now in downtown Clearwater that are looking at opportunities to either expand their footprint in downtown or create a new concept. So they already know, you know, the business model, they already know the challenges of the district, but they're still willing to invest their time and their resources and their retained earnings. And so I think that speaks very well. We do have a couple of issues, but, you know, we've got occupancy down. They got the report on Monday, I believe. Occupancy, fourth quarter at Clearwater Beach was 55%, and so that was down significantly from what they've expected. And people are staying fewer days in Clearwater, so it's harder for us to kind of recruit that visitor, but we're working to do that. We've also got COVID, and we've also got people that are still struggling. So despite all that, we're trying to create a robust community that people from all walks of life and all ages and stages can come. I won't belabor you with all the information, but one of the things I wanted to talk about was job creation. We've got most of our people, Scott actually suggested that we have a district job fair because we've got so many positions that need to be filled in the service industry. So that's number one. The second thing is looking at the data on social media. I wanted to make sure that we had a footprint and that was growing. The money that we have spent for advertising has been very minimal. It is one ad with Tampa Bay News. It is the visitor guide. So other than that, everything else has been public relations and media relations and community partnerships. So what we're trying to do is not spend cash to achieve that. We've got a wonderful partnership with Colleen Dingman with Clear Sky. She and I are partnering together to kind of build the footprint on our social media and in both Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And we've gotten some really good kind of impact. We're also blessed with obviously Mike that does a lot of the signs, but Lena is really taking a very aggressive stance and kind of making sure our causes are heard. She recently had a TV interview on Bay News 9 to talk about what the district was doing with human trafficking. So it's kind of a pretty involved report with lots of pictures, but I welcome any questions. But what I try to do is marketing is art and science. I'm hoping to give you in that report both.
Thank you. Do we have questions? Did you have a question, Caitlin? No, okay, great.
Can I make a comment? First of all, I just want to compliment you all. I mean, you really have made lemonade out of lemons
Daiquiris.
throughout COVID. Daiquiris, whatever your flavor. You don't always come and talk to the council, so I'm gonna take advantage of this real quick. Once we have vaccines and COVID is gone, what do you all think about, I mean, I support the street staying shut. But what do you think is going to happen when restaurants can have full capacity elsewhere? And so now you're competing against people maybe staying closer to their bubble, whereas downtown Clearwater's been marvelous, having all the outdoor dining. Have you thought about that?
One of the things I can tell you, just from our company's personal experience, is the restaurants that we've had that stayed open through the takeout when all the restaurants had to close. Out of our 9 restaurants, only 3 we kept open. And the 3 that have this sustained and stayed open completely through are incredibly higher in sales than the restaurants that shut down for the 2 months that we had to and did not. I mean, we're talking 30% more than comparable restaurants that are right down the street, you know, whether they're Frenchies or Clear Skies. So people's have created new patterns, you know, and I think that's got staying power. It's not, yes, the other places are going to open, and there's always going to be competition, but we've made an awful lot of friends that are loyal to downtown, and they're going to stay. And it, like I think both ladies said, we're just scratching the surface with what we can do on the beach with, you know, we finally feel like we have something to present to the hotels and to the people who are staying on the beach, for a reason for them to come up for a night if they're there for 4, 5, 7 nights, whatever it is. A year ago, I couldn't have said that. You know, I wouldn't have said, unless you were specifically coming up to dine in my restaurant or somebody else's restaurant, there was no reason to come up, but now they can come up and enjoy themselves. But, you know, we can create the whole experience. So
Friday and Saturday were unbelievable.
And I'll tell you what, Saturdays during the day right now, Sundays during the day, and we've been the ones, you know, that have had a very successful Sunday brunch for a long time, but it's picking up with the other restaurants. And as we start to do, you know, I'm going to probably be adding a couple of days of entertainment on my own, Saturdays and Sundays during the day, to help keep that going from, you know, the middle of the afternoon. But it's crazy. And once we can get to the point where we can pull a permit for some things, I mean, to be able to do markets and some of those things, we can do those right downtown, such as Dunedin and Safety Harbor, and I will be more successful because we have more to offer. So I in my heart of hearts, I know it's going to keep going. It's snowballing.
One of the things that's keeping us on our toes is that always competition. And so one of the things that we kind of delayed until probably post-COVID is we talked to all the chefs. We want to host like a chef's corner, like a cooking class during the day. I'm trying to build business during the noon hour, because one of the things that happened, and this was great, I heard from Downtown Pizza. Downtown Pizza, when Nova4 was there, they had a very robust, you know, they're doing calzones and pizzas, and they were doing great. They're still working remote. He's now eclipsed without having Nova4 down there. So I think we're going to look at bringing people in throughout the day. So maybe an early morning or mid-morning cooking class. We were working with a partnership with the library to maybe having some book clubs, you know, books and wine or something like that. So to make it a community center, we were looking at exercise classes. Small Business Week is coming up. I was talking with Howard about, you know, we'd love to showcase how dynamic and diverse downtown is. And all the different businesses, not just restaurants, you know, that there's lots of things to do down here, and there's lots of people that they can do business with. And so that's the kind of programming that we're going to do to complement the restaurants. We knew we couldn't be just an entertainment district. That's what Sparkman Wharf is. That's what Armature works for. We wanted to represent the community. And they have lots of different, we're older, we're more middle income. And I wanted to make sure that the programming reflected, that what we offered reflected what Clearwater is.
Very good. Any other, sir?
Chairman, if I may, ask the gentleman, what are you referring to when you say pull permit for? So what are you trying to, what event or activity you're trying to do?
Just to be able to do a market, pull in vendors.
Scott, come up to the mic so anybody watching at home can hear you.
So, you know, because of COVID, no no permits are being pulled, but, you know, some of the other communities around us, Dunedin is famous and Safety Harbor is famous for, on weekends, having festivals and things that we've never been able to capitalize on. I think we tried down at Coachman a few times, but it was just so kind of disjointed from downtown that it was too far. Well, with the street closure, we have room that we can do things like that and have fun family events to do on the weekends. That's more than just coming up and eating and listening to some music. There's, you know, there's some little vendors that are selling their goods and whatever it may be.
Is there something you've tried to do that you couldn't do?
Oh, no, I don't think we have, in the past, we haven't tried to.
Okay,
But I think we
all right.
have because of the street closure, now we have the ability to.
Okay.
Like I said, Coachman was just too far away, so any events that happened on Coachman really were not beneficial to any of the businesses downtown.
Okay,
So
I just want to make sure I understood, because those are not extraordinary asks that
Yeah.
we can't accommodate.
Right, no.
So, okay.
No, I mean, COVID had everybody's hands tied for a bit, but,
True.
you know, and we don't want to be event-driven, you know, we want it to be a community that people come to, and that's, you know, that's
Sure.
how people think of us. And you know what, we still have the same challenge that we had pre-COVID, and it is, we have got a lot of empty storefronts that we need to get filled. I mean, that's our biggest challenge, hands down. And we're invested in working in that ourselves. So I think it's extremely important that we continue, as we talked about at the Chamber work session a couple weeks ago, that the DDB and the CDP and ourselves and Amplify work together, because we all have the same vested interest, and, you know, I think together we can help work on projects like that.
Okay, anyone else have any questions for the presenters? Okay, thank you. Early last month, the four organizations he named made presentations at the monthly CRA meeting, and the DCMA, the Clearwater Downtown Partnership, the Amplify Clearwater, and the Downtown Development Board, that was myself, each made a short presentation on what we do. And what emerged from that meeting was the spark of an idea that maybe we should work closer together in a more organized manner, and maybe we should hold a joint meeting to plan strategy and see where we can, if there's, you know, more synergy that can be created by working together. So what we're hoping to accomplish is some kind of a framework or an idea of pulling together these four organizations, aligning their activities in a more strategic fashion to achieve the objectives we want of a more successful downtown.
Is paintball out of the question?
Depends who you're shooting at.
I like the idea,
Yeah,
but not paintball, of course. Just where would we do this?
well, Mr. Mayor, did you have a suggestion that you wanted to make or your views on what you thought about this when the idea came up?
I think it's a great idea. It's something that we could probably do at a gymnasium up in, you know, North Greenwood, for instance. I mean, if you want to do a round table more situation, that's the type of place. You could do it at Ruth Eckerd Hall in their new front lobby. It's large enough, or in the Margaret Haya room there. We'll find a place for you to do it if you want.
Okay. What do the other board members think of the idea of either hosting or collaborating with the other parties on?
Sounds great. The more cooperation, the more traffic.
And I'd like to invite any of the people present from the other parties, if you have a comment on whether you'd like to, how you would like to see this first, the next step proceed. What would be your ideal situation from your viewpoint?
We unknowingly broke some rules and actually met a couple of times back in the fall. Festus was part of it. We had all the groups involved, including the CRA.
We didn't break the rules, there was no sunshine law. He was the only DDB member.
Oh, well, we had CRA, I don't know. So at any rate, we learned we have to be careful on how we set up this meeting, but I mean, I think initially it's idea sharing and brainstorming, you know, with the groups together, and then I think where we're positioned downtown with, some of the challenges that Clearwater offers that other places don't, that we need to be strong and help each other.
First attempts were very general, just sort of getting to understand what we all thought about what we were doing and what our plans were. I thought it was very good, just to get us all together. But we just started. We didn't get into anything deep. Formalizing it to me, I think, is a great idea, so that we can avoid duplication and actually pool our resources. But the one good thing that I came out of with those meetings was that each group had its specific path and strength and focus, but there was a little bit of overlapping. And so it's definitely needed, and I think if something formalized, I think would be great.
Okay. Now, I'd like some input from the board on what you envision is how to proceed on this. If the DDB hosted such a meeting, how would we develop an agenda, and what would our objectives be for such a meeting? And how would we conduct it? Would we get a professional facilitator, or would we try to facilitate it ourselves, or use somebody from staff? I'd like to open that up for discussion on what people think. Anyone?
I think we would all present, our plan for what each group wants to accomplish, and then take a look at each one of those, and then maybe put together a program based on those plans.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
I would suggest having an ambassador from each of the groups get together. It won't break any sunshine. Outline some of the topics that you think are important. What I'm hoping for is to see a unified vision. I think it would be worth the money for either the DDB or the CRA to pay for a facilitator. The collaborative lab down at St. Pete College, Andrea Henning, is dynamite. She would be somebody that I would highly recommend. I've used her before in different organizations when they've been doing visioning and strategic planning, and they just do a marvelous job. So that would be somebody I'd think about using.
Okay. Now, just to be clear, when you said just getting a representative from each group, this is to plan a joint meeting, or that would be the joint meeting?
To start to set up an agenda for the larger group to come together, if you had a representative from each of the organizations come together as kind of their, the emissary for each one, to talk about things that they're interested in addressing, you can kind of narrow the field of what you're going to be discussing so that you can have the most productive time when you draw the whole group together.
Very good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if each group, I'm assuming maybe there are 8 groups.
There's 4.
There are 4.
Yep.
So if each group comes out with what is it that each one's trying to accomplish, and finding common denominator of the 4 group, then that would be the one.
And coming up with a mission statement from there, absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think that it'd probably be useful to sum up what I've heard here. If we had a motion that we were going to go forward with organizing some type of an event that would start off, number 1, by selecting someone from our ranks here to be our representative. Number 2, to meet with the 3 other parties and determine an agenda or a timetable or whatever. Number 3, at the next meeting, to arrive at a consensus of just amongst ourselves what his instructions or marching orders, or her instructions or marching orders would be, and then to meet and come back to the board, say the second meeting from now.
It sounds like you don't need a motion right now, you just need to appoint somebody to meet with the others, come back with a proposal.
That may be all we need. Go ahead, Ray.
Can we move now? Can we do a motion?
Well, She just said we don't need a motion, we can just
Oh.
appoint someone.
You don't
Well-
need a motion to appoint somebody to meet with the others to come up with a proposal to bring to the next, a proposal on agenda to bring to the next meeting.
I propose then, not move, that Keenan Kinsel be our representative because he appears to have a lot of the knowledge of what's going on downtown.
I like that puzzled
Exactly
look.
my thoughts.
Well, I see you everywhere downtown.
Sounds like homework.
He said appear.
That's what I was thinking.
That's usually what happens when you go to the bathroom, come back and
Everybody steps forward.
Yeah, you're the guy.
I think you volunteered in our
Fine,
your absence.
I'll be the ambassador. I like the choice of words of the mayor.
Okay. So if we have a consensus here, I think your marching instructions would be to arrange a convenient time where you could meet with CDP, DCMA, and Amplify Clearwater all at the same time, determine a suitable agenda and a venue, and work with the CRA and the city on what that venue would be.
So in lieu of a motion, I understand the concept of the plan to be myself as an ambassador to our organization, meeting with an ambassador from the other three organizations as a first step, and then we outline a plan or an agenda, which then we would all meet.
Right,
That, so it'd be a two-stepper,
yeah.
country
So-
music. Thanks,
So
Ray.
between now and our next meeting, to have had the first meeting
Mhm.
with, and to coordinate an agenda. Go ahead.
Just a quick reminder that that meeting, the committee meeting, does need to comply with sunshine law, with notice and accessibility and minutes.
Which committee meeting?
The meeting that, with the ambassadors, yes.
That was my question, if we needed.
We would need, if he went to a meeting with the DCMA and Amplify, we would need to advertise that? Why?
If one of our ex officio members is on, that is one of the emissary from the CRA or the city.
Well, if one of our ex officio members is.
if we're having the CRA. I heard you talking about the four organizations.
The four
Do you want the
organizations.
CRA involved, the
No,
CRA trustees involved as well?
No, I was thinking that the CRA trustees would assist us in identifying a venue.
That's no problem.
That's just staff work
Right.
to organize
So
that.
there's no other organization other than the DDB that's under sunshine.
All right, then, no.
So I think we would be okay. And so that between now and the next meeting, for this meeting to take place, and so that at the next meeting, we could decide and select a venue and agree to pay for it or whatever we had to do, and determine a date where we could all do it. Does it sound like a good plan? Agreed? Okay. Then we'll leave it at that. Thank you. And we'll see if we can do something. I think that we can accomplish something if we just align our forces. Great. Okay, so now we're going to go on to old business, item 5.1, an equity committee update. Caitlin, you take this.
Yes, I'm very pleased to announce that we have scheduled with marketing to follow, but we've scheduled or decided on the date of March 31st for us to hold our online event with the idea of workshopping with stakeholders in the community on trying to basically figure out what the heck this committee is going to do. I know I personally, because of an idea that was provided to me by our wonderful members of the CRA, had what's called a Breaking Bread event where you have stakeholders and come together, which is an event we'll have post-COVID, and we're not even going to start planning that right now because we don't know what that's going to look like. But the event on March 31st is intended to be having folks come to us, come to me, help facilitate ideas, and come up with, hey, what are maybe 3 ideas that we would be able to work on? And what I'd like for you all to give me today, if possible, is if you have any insight, if you have any directives, things like that. Because I and Rosemary have come up with all sorts of plans that we would like to have, but I'd also like input, because this is a subcommittee or a committee of the DDB, what you all would like to see. So if, in terms of when I'm talking with members of the community on the 31st, if you guys have ideas or directives where I should be specifically reaching out. So, insight?
This is insight for your meeting.
For the meeting or for really the directives of the committee as a whole. As a reminder, this committee was created as a result of Resolution 20-01 in June of last year. The purpose of it is specifically to address systemic racism, but the committee itself we call it the Equity Committee. So we're really focusing on racial inequalities for the moment, obviously big picture. Years from now, once that's all resolved, we'll move on to other equity issues that certainly face our communities as well as communities as a whole. But it's a brand new committee, brand new legs. We can kind of make it whatever we would like to make it. In my mind, it'll be an umbrella committee where we have members of the community say, okay, I want to have this artistic event which really highlights Black History Month, and I want to have this type of event which will be live music very much focused on telling this story that really focuses and ties into the idea of equity and fighting systemic racism, but it can kind of be whatever we want it to be. I've had a large voice in what I'm brainstorming thus far, but I would like any insight that the TDP has.
Well, Mr. Infinity inspired me, and I thought about all the youth that I've seen around town lately. So then I'm instantly thinking student councils of the various schools, maybe some of the community colleges, maybe they could be plugged in as youthful leaders into the...
I think that's great.
Okay.
I would, just from a DDB centric, or from a businessman's perspective in downtown, there's not enough participation from the Black community in our downtown. It's not represented well in our downtown, and I think the DDB should overtly be encouraging investment and participation, and they should feel welcome to do so. So I would think that if in your meetings with the stakeholders you identify groups that are composed of young entrepreneurs or of young, or age doesn't matter really, just entrepreneur type people in that community, that we could give a presentation to them or give them information from the CRA or from the DDB on what incentives, what programs are available, and just to put it out there that they are welcome to come to our downtown and participate in. It's all of ours downtown.
Sure. One idea that we had discussed was also including on our funding request form, perhaps a question that poses, what do you do to further or address systemic inequalities, or maybe something not quite as heavy-handed, but that's something that we may be able to address as well in terms of if you're seeking funding, are you doing so in a manner that helps address this issue in some way? But so that kind of ties in, or is a little bit of an offshoot of what you said.
Good. Any other comments or? Okay, is that your update?
That is my update. I will report back on all of our wonderful ideas at the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, now 5.2 CRA update, Howard.
Howard Smith, Business Assistant Administrator for the CRA. Last month, you, the board, provided a special event grants to the Clearwater Jazz Holiday for their Wanderlust series. In communication with Gary Hollis, the first 3 events that took place starting February 20th were all sold out. They have 2 more event shows that will take place, one being this weekend for the 6th, and the last one being on the 13th. They're close to being sold out for those 2 events. And just want to report back that at the end of the series, Gary Hollis will come in and provide a report to you, but overall, for the activation of Station Square, has been very well received.
Excellent. Thank you, Howard. So, Chairman's report. Basically, I don't have too much to say today other than we're continuing to motor along and survive the COVID crisis. It appears to be winding down and normalizing, and at some point we will return to normal. I don't know if it's how much of a new normal it's going to be, but it's coming back to normal, and we will survive this. We will be back, and then we will move forward. So in the meantime, stay safe and stay well. And now we'll move on to final comments. Beginning on my left.
Well, being right above Station Square where I live. I am very proud of what that group has done and whoever's involved with it, in addition, that we don't know about. With this downtown, I see it getting better. I see it becoming a hangout for, you know, a diversity of people. So I'm real happy with that and like to do anything we can to keep that ball rolling.
Good. John?
I'm excited to see how the spring break is going to come out this time, because we do have a downtown that there's more activity, which I'm really curious how that would play in that. I look forward to it.
Costas?
First, I want to thank Michael for filling in for Amanda. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. I know that everyone's kind of left. I want to thank the DCMA for all what they do. I live downtown Clearwater, and believe me, the efforts they put in is really tremendous. It made a big difference. And also thank Mr. Edmund Rapiki for the high-level information he gave us about opportunity zones. I think it was needed for us to just refresh our memories on what exactly it is. And thanks to the staff for all the great work you do, and thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Ray said. I attended a couple of weeks ago the jazz show down in Station Square. It was fantastic. The streets are filling up. The past weekend, I was downtown, and there had to have been close to 1,000 people Saturday. The Ruth Eckerd Capitol Theater combination of these walking plays, these murder mystery plays, they're popping up, and there's a location by our office, so there's groups of anywhere from 10 to 50 or 60 people wandering around at any given time, and then all of a sudden they stop and somebody does an act, and then there's another act, and there was at least 500 people wandering around doing that, and I was, where am I? So anyway, it's great.
I would encourage us, I think, I'm a little embarrassed with what went on with Mr. Infinity. I feel bad for what he went through, and I'm not saying that something went wrong, but I think it might be a good opportunity for us to like come up with maybe more detailed funding request process. I totally get why we would want more information, but I think we have to maybe relay that or communicate that or find an effective way to communicate that, where things like that don't necessarily happen. And it's not to say that there aren't communications like that, but finding different ways to do that. I think I might also have a vested interest in terms of the equity committee taking a look at the funding request form, but I think we need to come up with a way to make sure that we're making members of our community feel welcome and comfortable, particularly when they have ideas like that. Even in terms of like giving the presentation, totally want to limit it, but I feel like we want to make sure he's aware and feels welcome, and he being any individual who sends a funding request, that they feel welcome. So I'm not necessarily taking on ownership to lead that charge, but I would encourage us to look at that pretty closely in the near future so that every member of our community feels welcome in terms of, hey, come here, have a great idea. If we fund you, it's because we think whatever it is helpful, and even maybe we'll need DDB direction in terms of, do we want to fund marketing? Do we only want to fund events? What do we want to do? So we may need to big picture that at some point, but I think coming up with more processes will avoid that, which could be disheartening for members of our community.
Yes, I agree, very much so. I think it's important to have very clear guidelines to follow. I know that I've had at least one person come to me, maybe two, that asked me, what do you need to do to get a grant, for a business in downtown? So I personally don't know, so I think that it would be great if we were all given a little bit of information on that too, so that we understood how the process works, and we can pass that out to the community. Because the more we understand, the more we can pass it on to people, because we're out there too, meeting people, talking to people, going to the restaurants, going to the shops, and I think that we need to know so that we can pass it on.
Mr. Hibbert?
Well, I just want to thank you all for your dedication to downtown and all that you do. I want to tell you that we did have a special work session this Tuesday to talk about Imagine Clearwater in the park and what the plans are going to be for management of everything down at the park. We talked about a conservancy for the playground, park, gardens area. We also talked about whether we were going to internally manage the music venue or whether we would most likely hire somebody to do that. I think the direction from the council, although we have not voted yet, is that we are going to find somebody, an outside entity, to run the venue. So that's kind of the update. We're going to have another meeting to discuss all of this further on the 23rd of March at 9 a.m. We're going to bring in some of the partners that we have, like Ruth Eckerd Hall and AEG, to talk about what they think about the process and what has worked around the rest of the country. There's some people that run the St. Augustine Amphitheater and a gentleman who used to be at St. Augustine that's now moved to Huntsville. And we're going to try to bring all of those experts together just to give people a better idea of some of the business models that are used to run these types of venues.
Very good.
So the mayor had mentioned how busy it was on Friday and Saturday night this weekend, and it was. I mean, I came down Saturday night, and I was driving downtown, and I saw these smartly dressed people walking down the street, and I thought, well, what's happening tonight? And they were going into the Clearwater Jazz Fest at Station Square Park, and it looked beautiful. I haven't been to one of the events yet, but I'm going this weekend. I'm looking forward to that. And I met a bunch of people over at Downtown Pizza, which was booming. They put up a band stage inside Downtown Pizza now. So they have live music, and there was a great singer there. I met up with a bunch of people who'd taken a downtown tour, and they had a great time. They had never spent time downtown, but they said they loved the area, and they're going to come back to the district and dine and bring their friends. And they have a big event coming up on March 13th where there's already 60-plus people who have booked a tour. So I think this is all great that there's so much life coming back downtown.
So my final comment, even though I've had chairman's comments, I'm going to take another final comment because I omitted a couple of things. I felt quite badly about the fact that the change in our procedure came up with at the same time as the Mr. Infinity presentation, and I really want to make it clear to them. I'm probably going to call them separately after the meeting, like tomorrow or something like that, and again convey that it had nothing to do with his particular application, and I want to make that very clear and make sure that he feels quite welcome to come to our board and ask for a grant or whatever, just for whatever purpose that he wanted to come here. And I also wanted to echo your comments that I was grateful for Edmund Rakipi's briefing. I did not fully understand fully is kind of the wrong word. I barely understood what an opportunity zone was, and now I feel I have a much better grasp of it. And the DCMA has been doing a very good job restoring life to downtown during the whole street closure period. It was a brilliant idea, and this has been a very, very strong success for our downtown. So I'm very glad that these volunteers stepped up and did all the extra work to pull it off and keep it going. So with that,
Oh, Mr. Chair,
yes,
I won't be here for the next meeting, so I'll let you know.
okay.
Can I make a point of clarification too, just to be clear? We do have policies on our funding request. It's in our fun little binders, number 6. So I don't want to cast any aspersions. We do have that information. I think it's more of an issue of coming up with how do we best communicate that in a way that's effective, as well as what level of detail information do we as a board want. So I want to make sure I'm clear and not casting any aspersions as to the wonderful efforts of our group. So, sorry, I apologize.
Okay. So at 7:05 in the evening, I declare this meeting adjourned.